Soil brings together so many people, not just basic scientists. It brings the applied scientists together. It develops different value chains, not just the supply chain of fertilizer or soil amendments, but creates businesses too. And traditionally, soil information systems have been restricted to a narrow group of stakeholders who are mainly soil scientists. This time around, we're looking at widening it to bring those who feel the pain and the gains of developing soil improvement products. They need to have the information. They need to have a point where they can go and get information that they need. And for this workshop, we are beginning to bring a wider array of stakeholders who are not the traditional soil scientists, the traditional researchers, the traditional academic guys, the people who use soil information to make decisions, whether financial, whether it's policy, whether it's run their business, to also voice out the kind of information they will need in such a system, so that content development can now look at the parts. So this is how we're looking at it and why we are throwing the net wider.
This system is very, very important to Ghana. The soil is I'll say everything goes into the soil. Everything is based on the soil. And the soil is critical for us as a nation. We in Ghana, we depend a lot on agriculture. All our foods we get from the soil. And so crop performance is based on what is in the soil.
The soil information, soil data actually is obsolete or inadequate. And then therefore, we need to generate new data, new information. And one thing is that if you don't have data, then on something, you cannot manage it. So if you really want to manage the soil well, you have to have the right data to be able to manage the soil in agriculture and environmental management.
Because of the climate change, we need to plan now to see how, as a nation, we fit ourselves into development strategies. If you are being faced with low rainfall, what options do you have? You can't continue to work in business as usual. It's the reality on the ground is that you are going to have low rainfall. And if the rainfall comes, they are quite erratic and short duration. So what do? It informs your long-term planning. And that is what we need to provide information and generate the information to drive national decision-making and national policies. That is our role. That's why it becomes critical for us to be part of this soil information system.
With climate change as a major stress factor on our soils, we need to have this conversation about digitizing, collecting our soils information and making it available for proper planning and judicious use. And that is one big reason why we need to have this conversation and this workshop. So it is a really very important topic.
The workshop has opened my eyes to what other soil information systems exist elsewhere, what has been done, and what key takeaways in the Ghanaian context we can pick from that.
I can say that the relevant stakeholders, we've been able to bring them together. So that's the starting point. When the stakeholders are aligned to the vision, and then the planning, then the implementation, and then the operations of the workshops, then you are almost 90% successful. So I now have all the relevant people that need to speak to the issue here.
For this particular workshop, we have people from all the divide in agriculture. So I have the end users here, I have the product development people here, like those in the fertilizer space, and then I have those farmers here, those who are growing the crops. So here we have gathered to share ideas as to how to use these pieces of information and the form in which they want these pieces of information. We also have policymakers over here. So we are also interacting with them as to how they will be able to influence policy.
For me, the framework opened up a lot of gaps in our system. For instance, it was not until we started looking at the planning and decision stage on data sharing strategy that we said, wait a minute, there is a national data protection law. How does that integrate? We have different institutions that are working with different funders, and sometimes information sharing becomes a bottleneck to a successful soil information system. How do we overcome such difficulty? The third aspect is there are capacity needs to maintain such a framework or such an infrastructure. Have we thought through it properly? And all these are some of the things that we really need to put on board.
So the next steps for us here is as partners, which we have been even before this project, we are looking for possible areas of partnership where we could leverage on our existing programs, because duplication is not something we would call for. So if we have partners with the same objectives, vision for the country, then we can harness our efforts to drive this implementation faster.
The next step is to spread the information far and wide among the stakeholders to get more ideas into how this can be successful. It's not just the ideas, but also their cooperation in making this system work.